Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Scarlett Witch. That is me. I am the Scarlett Witch. Um, First, as my first welcoming video, first I'd like to give a little bit of information about me. Of course, I've been what you call on the closet witch for almost 30 years of my life. Since age 9, I've always been drawn to everything from esoteric to everything. It all came second in nature. It all was easily, excuse the noise in the background. It all came very easy in second-hand nature for me. It's weird. Um, Predicting live deaths and births since then. Sadly, and happily, but the deaths were um, the sad part is that when I was younger and I would predict the deaths, they just bursted out. Like it was like somehow spirit just had to burst it out. It was never where I could kind of control that. Later on, I'll make another video where I kind of do want to connect a little bit and with certain characteristics and certain circumstances that could be confused. Like if you were anybody in my situation, or even if you have a daughter or a son that's presenting some things like this at a very young age, um, I could tell you right now, it's not for just for the looks of it, because we know even from a young age. Trust me, we can tell what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of times we are led to believe that maybe this belief is wrong, or that this belief is just, this is why God came and did this. And there's a lot of mishaps and misunderstandings that now that I've started my YouTube channel and stuff, I will be gladly be able to share these ideas with you, hopefully live too, so we can have a really good discussion. But these are very good, interesting things to discuss, and not just only from accounting in one person's life, because I'm not the only one who's gone through this. There's been many people that I've met that have gone through this similar situation. And again, this all with me, like when it was like obvious that I knew I wasn't gonna be normal. And come on, like you guys, that if you're in this, that somewhat there's a part of you that's not really normal. So might as well let out that door here. We know that there's a part of us that's kind of like weird. So, and not weird in a bad way. Weird like we know you're hiding bodies in your basement. Weird, but weird as in, you're not like everyone else. You're not like everyone else. And just as an introduction to that, first I want to discuss. Well, first, what is a witch? First of all, let's all talk a little bit about what exactly a witch is. Because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of them. A lot of them. And so it is stemmed from I'm trying to remember if it was Gaelic or if it was Celtic, but it is derived from the word wise one. Wise one. Now, when most people think of witches, of course, what do we get? Broomsticks, cauldrons, so old ladies. Well, I'm not fully old yet. I don't have the warts yet coming. I hope not. Um, Now, about the running and the casting spells on the enemies and all that stuff, I don't know. I mean, to me, you'd have to really be worth the effort for me to even do something like that. In reality, that's not what this is about. It's not about hurting others, and it's not about you. At the end of the day, even if you have and possess that control, it's not about you having and possess that control. A true person with these gifts is not out to have all the power that they can get, because that's not what it's about. It's about being connected to an entire different army of spiritual beings that are inside these vessels. Now, we're not the same. We're all unique. Some of us, we're more advanced or more able to open and be able to distinguish that. Not all of us are. It's called woke and being woke. I'm pretty sure a lot of millennials will be able to understand what that word means. But the truth is that in witchcraft, in real life, and in much more different than the witchcraft that we see in the movies, simply witchcraft is the practice of magic. Magic, no, is before Harry Potter came through and used the stick and you saw the little things and all that. No. Magic, really, and it's quite simplified. It is a form of manifestation. It is a form of being able to get something you need like this when it seems impossible. And how does one even achieve that? Well, for one, you use a lot of faith, you use a lot of hope. You of course, they always say that spirituality is for those that have already been to hell, and religion is for those that are afraid of hell, so forth and so forth. Either way, spirituality and religion are still one in the same when it comes to discussing about religions or anything of that matter, because at the end of the day it's about what we believe in, who we believe in, and how we see it happening. And whether one book is going to tell you you're right or wrong, which to me, and no offense to anyone, I don't judge and I don't misjudge the Bible or anything, but to me the Bible is like a codex book. There's a lot of things there that are missing that should be put back in there, and a lot of information taken out. And I don't know if you're like me, where I think everything or somehow something has like a what do you call it, a certain story behind it. I would say that it's because this information is not meant to be for everyone. I think that a lot, I believe, this is just my belief again, I'm not saying you should or not. My belief is a lot of people that can get these skills, can get these abilities, and be able to move forward and use them are people that I believe have been chosen for this. Yes, we all, to an extent, have a certain way and ability to form something. However, there are some of us that to us is like nothing. Now, what is it? Is the simple envisioning of something that you want. Of course, I'm not gonna make a magic trick right now and imagine I have a Lamborghini in my drive yard, because that's not for me to put that much concentration and focus in it in the first place. I doubt it might happen within a week or a day. You know, couldn't. I'm not saying it's not possible. Now be careful. Be careful. I didn't say it's not possible. I just said, would I have it by tomorrow morning or next week? I don't know. Same thing goes with spells. So that's basically what we call spells. Is when we do something, we envision it, we format it in our minds, and we see it happening. We see it enveloping. So, and basically, what magicians do is magic is a series of techniques which a witch or a practitioner uses to harness energy, both externally from the outside and internally inside you, in order to change one's surroundings. In other words, it's like this. And I'll give you a really easy story. You have the coffee bean, you have the egg, and you have the potato. Okay. Now, how is the egg before you put it in the boiling water? It's a shell. It's got a shell and it's soft inside, right? Something that would look like if you were a person in that time is like, well, you could be hard, but you're soft. But once you get put under that boiling water, what happens? The shell just falls off and you're hardened from the inside. You're no longer the same. Potato. How's a potato is? A potato looks tough. It could handle that water. But once you put it in the water, what happens? It's mushy. It's really soft. You can make good old mashed potatoes. But what happens with the coffee bean when you put it under the water? It doesn't change its shape. It doesn't change its texture. It doesn't change anything. But you know what does change? Is the water around you. Oh, the water around the coffee bean, I'm sorry. The water becomes coffee. The water is what you drink and you make. And this is going back to use more as an analogy as to what I'm trying to say with when we use external and internal forces to change surroundings. You're no longer an egg and you're no longer a potato. You are now a coffee bean. You can now change the surroundings around you to make them work for you. Now, also, it's important that in being these things, it's the same thing as being, and it's very popular, and that's the most common. That's the most common form of practice you will hear is Wiccan. Although there's many, especially Latin American cultures, we have our own set of beliefs, whether some include hoodoo and voodoo and some other ritualistic practices. Of course, nobody really uses the word shamanism because it got too, how can I say it, too cliche. It got too used. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but they did just recently found out this past year a lot of soul revival or soul retrieval camps. Not everyone, please don't misquote me on that. But they found a good amount of soul retrieval, soul revival things to where um, they were made more for people that just have money and could cough it up, and let them think that they're like these spiritual advisors and what have you, and the whole time they're thinking they're life coaches and they're spiritual coaches and they're this and that, and in fact of the matter is they're neither. They start becoming. I've actually gotten to meet quite a number of people that sadly fall in this field, and you'd be surprised. It'd be people like doctors. It'd be people like college professors. It'd be people that you won't even think, and they're so obsessed with this kind of power, with this kind of way that they are willing to do anything and use anyone for matters like this. And they call it, meditation revivals and all this, and the whole time, and I'm telling you this because I met this person, and she does have a YouTube channel and everything, but I'm not gonna say her name, but I'm pretty sure people that have followed her and her businesses probably already know who I'm talking about. She she is a college professor. Actually, she follows one that just got caught for fraud, and that's Christina Pratt. Sadly, I'm not trying to defend Christina Pratt or anything, because I was a big follower of her work. But in newagefraud.com, it did come out that she is a fraud. You can look it up, research it. It's there. Unless she came with her story and was able to clear it, but it went on for a while, so I don't know. Now, like I'm saying, this person, and I met a lot of people like this, where they want to be able to teach you and charge you for stuff that either A, you probably know more than they do, or B, they're trying to make you think that they have these abilities that they don't. They're just able to make you think. They're easier at hypnotic sessions than actual true soul healing sessions or Reiki sessions. Back to this college professor. I'll give you an example. When I met her, she didn't even have a cauldron. That should have given me a big flag, right? And she didn't even have a cauldron. She didn't even know what mixture she used with what and with what pantheon and so forth and so forth. Yet she's been to all these revivals. At the end of the day, she was trying to take my information, my ability, not my abilities, obviously, because nobody can take your abilities, but she was trying to take what much information, what much style she could and everything from me, to the point that she even made a fire ritual, my own fire ritual that I did and performed myself and do myself. She tried to copy it and ended up burning herself and the person she was supposedly doing it for. So that's why these things are, like I said, your magic is not the same as mine, and mine will not be the same as yours. It doesn't mean that yours isn't better than mine and mine is better than yours. It's just that when you're looking at it from that perspective and you want to compare and you want to compete, you can jinx yourself up with that. I don't want to get too much into that because that happens a lot. Sadly, it's very common and it's very, it can be very vicious. So, now, the truth is in witchcraft is that in real life it's not much more different than oh well, I already said that, than the movies. But it's also important to note that being a witch is not the same as being a Wiccan, because you can be, and it's actually not Wiccan, it's pagan. You pagan people are people that believe in the old gods before God, before he was, when he sent Jesus and everybody. Now, and everybody, guess how I said everybody, right? But pagans are people that don't believe in that. Now you have Christo pagans like me. Christo pagans like me, well, we believe in all. We believe in God. We believe in Jesus. We believe in everything that's missing from the Bible and in the Bible, but we also see the other truths and the other missing parts to it. And so this is where a lot of confusions and a lot of things are started. Sad to say, the most hateful or most, I guess the most, not the most violent, obviously, because it's not, it's to be the Muslims, but the second to the Muslims will be the Christians. Where they're very much more judgmental. They think you worship Satan, and that's not the case. You're able to see everything the way the world was set from the beginning, and that's the way it's still set on forth. So that's just again, everyone in their channels got their own way and their own vision. I'm just giving you mine. You don't have to agree with me. You could agree with me. You're more than welcome to comment. And if you got something to add on or correct or something, please, you're more than welcome to. I don't have an issue with it. I welcome it, actually. So, and most importantly, also, can anyone become a witch? Is witchcraft truly for everyone? Now that we've shown a light of kind of what witchcraft is, let's see what it takes to become a witch. And I can tell you right now, as a high priestess, and in 2 years in practice, student wise, not many have what it takes. There's a lot of devotion. There's a lot of work put in it. A lot of it. From proper spell preparation to proper technique to proper everything. So, and with that first always starts with devotion. It always starts with meditation. It always starts with centering and grounding yourself, knowing the earth, knowing all these parts of the earth and what their magical properties are. And trust me, it may seem cool and everything, and you're seeing the fireworks and everything looks cool and hunky dory, and oh, I want to do it and I can try it and everything. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of devotion. A lot of it. I can't even highlight the word devotion. So one of the first, or the many flavors of witchcraft, which may or may not be your flavor, you decide what kind of witch you want to be. Well, obviously, there's not one single type. Most nowadays are solitaries. But there's green witchcraft, which those are practiced witchcraft. With green witchcraft or nothing but with nature and earth and the elements. There's kitchen witches, which is practical form of witchcraft that uses herbs and other natural objects and they cook them. I do that as well. I do green, I do kitchen, I do Gardenian, I do hedge, I do Dianic, I do all of them. I'm eclectic. And eclectic, we'll get to that part. So the kitchen, she cooks. The Gardenian, she plants. She makes a plant. She makes the spices. She makes the beautiful little things of the of the lavender and storm up for you and everything. Now, hedge witchcraft focuses more on nature itself, and it unites aspects such as astral projection, shamanism, or natural energy medicine, is what I like to call it, midwifery and healing, which is what my grandmother was. A hedge witchcraft also tends to serve as mediums between our world and the spirit world. That is me. That is also, I am also a hedge witch. Now, Dianic witchcraft is from like the Greek, obviously, Greek goddess Diana. Dianic witches worship goddesses from many different cultures, and they consider these goddesses to be all a part of one goddess. Many Dianic witches have adopted a feminist perspective that informs their practice, and majority of them are always linked. Most of them like to follow Lilith or a certain goddess. Now, eclectic witchcraft, which as I said, I'm eclectic, is pretty much the most popular form of witchcraft because it involves mixing all different types of witchcraft in order to suit the individual needs and abilities of the witch. So, if you're a witch that not only can make herbs, that not only can make medicines, that not only can make this, make that, but um, you can also connect with spirits. You could also uh, banish demons, connect with demons, conjure them, banish them, all that. Then you become an eclectic witch because you have been able to master every single skill there is. Now, again, when I was saying when I was little and stuff, as I was growing older, I started learning more about these things. Obviously, it was more in secret. For the last 5 years of my life, I want to say completely, I threw the books out and didn't research no more because I really thought I was in the wrong. And I really thought I was just going all kinds of wrong, just thinking that I'm just. Living in a haunted house didn't help either. So I just threw it all away and thought I was just wrong. And obviously, sometimes, and this is one thing I learned, that when you belong in this path, the universe will continue to throw things at you that will put you back in this path. So just a heads up there. Now, the truth of becoming a witch, it takes a lot of hard work, like I said, discipline and time. So you need to decide what kind of witchcraft you're interested in. Pick one at a time if you're going to decide what you want to be. And that's if you already know that you have everything else that it takes, or that you know somehow you've already ready to become a witch, or you know that you can be. Being a novice witch can be very overwhelming because you, first of all, you got to find a good mentor. Somebody that can guide you and help you. An inexperienced witch can recommend a reading. I'm sorry, an experienced witch can recommend a reading, and I always recommend that to everyone. If you are thinking, if you're sincerely thinking, if this is for you, you need to get a reading done, a full in-depth reading, and especially an abilities and healing modalities reading. And in those readings, they should be able to see if you are part of this or not. So that is my experience. That would be my advice. Excuse me. That would be my advice to anyone that wants to know about this, is to get you a good reading like that to see what you're good at, and then that can help you decide what witchcraft courses you can take. Um, and then, of course, you start learning some techniques and some spells to encourage you along your journey. You gather up your supplies. These are going to be your main supplies right here: your mortal and pestle, your crystals, your wand, your salt, your book of shadows, your herbs, gods and goddesses statues, whatever it is that you're going to be praying to or that's been calling you. This is where this is one thing that I always tell people, especially the people I mentor. Before we even head over to a mortal pedestal and one and salt and book of shadows and altar and wand and all that, who is your god and goddess? Find out who those are first, because those are the ones that are going to dictate what you're going to have around you and what you're going to work with. If not, then you're going to be stuck with, you're going to have all these things. You're going to went about this figure in here and this figure in there that you just out there. You thought it was cool. You thought it would look witchy. Next thing you know, you got You got Horus, for example, calling you and saying that no, you actually are supposed to be a devotee to me. And this is again being stuck in just the neo-pagan or the pagan ways, if that's what you're on. Or even if you're crystal pagan, you might get called from a deity, but you know that if crystal pagans, we put God first. We always put God first, and then we put the rest second. So again, like I said, everybody has their own belief, their own way. Just because I believe in God doesn't mean that I won't or have ever gone dark. Yes, I have. Why? Because I've had to fight it like that. You can't fight the dark unless you learn how to beat the dark. You cannot beat the darkness unless you know how to embrace your darkness. And that is another thing, that if you're not, and if you cannot go into both the white and the dark side, that you kind of already know which worker you are, and it's usually light workers. Light workers always stay away from the dark. I prefer light worker, but it tends to call me sometimes, and I have to go in there and battle it out. So it just depends on what you're meant to be. And then I will make a video giving certain signs and things like that do call. I know there's a lot of videos out there already explaining that to you. I'm going to give you my own version of what it is or what can call you to be that. And this is coming from somebody that's been called upon this path since the age of 9, probably younger if my parents would have allowed it. There is an issue that happened when I was 2, but that's something I'll later on say, that I had already been marked. But again, this is in more of a Latin American traditional magic way that I'm speaking. So again, everyone has their beliefs and everyone has their ways of thinking. Now, other than that, whatever other supplies you want to list, you want to put, or you want to area focus on, that is what it's draw you. I always say what draws you for a reason. So go with what draws you. I will be, this is just an introduction, so I'm stopping it here. There will be about casting spells. I will also be performing a live reading tomorrow here on YouTube. Will be my first actual live reading on YouTube, coming live to you, so don't you miss that. And I can't wait to see you guys. You guys have a wonderful night.